Hey guys, what's going on? It's, well, RusRus, and for today's video, we are basically just gonna be talking. I think this is called something, so there's one where it's called Draw My Life, so I'm too stupid to know how to draw, so I'm just gonna kind of talk, because I get bored drawing first of all, and I suck at it, secondly. So currently it is, currently it is 11:23 p.m. on a school night, and my sister is taking a shower, my grandma is asleep, and I am doing this stupid shit. But for now, there, that should be a little bit better. Although you get to see that little bit of glare right there on my glasses. That's from the camera, so I can have plenty of light on my face, so I can see how ugly I look. Deal with it. But for now, we're just going to be talking about, well, when I was younger. So, when I was younger, I used to, we'll start about when I was like 5 or 6. Back then, my family got along real well. As far as I know, my family got real well together. And we went on trips, stuff like that. My dad was usually working, though. My mother stayed at home most of the time. But she did get a job later on. So, my dad was working, he made more money. He, at that point, owned a construction business. He did landscaping. And he also did real estate. So, we were making money. Plenty of money. A couple more years, we probably would have been millionaires. And I wouldn't really have to do this, but I would do it anyway because I enjoy it. Also, I would probably be going to private schools, stuff like that. But my mother was too dumb to realize that, and I'm jumping too far ahead. So they got along real well. Let's jump to a year or two later when I actually start remembering things. But then we went to Disneyland. I remember a little bit of that. I think it was either Disneyland or Orlando, one of those two. But Disneyland or World or whatever is in Florida. We went to one of those, and we went to Orlando. I don't remember which one it was. But either way, I remember something of an amusement park somewhere in Florida. And that's about all I remember from that year, because I don't like to remember that shit. It's not important. Next year, we'll skip ahead. So I started when I was 3 or 4, yeah. Then I went to 5, and I'm like 6. So when I was around 6, I started remembering more. Back then, me and my sister got along quite okay. We didn't like each other. We still don't. Still don't agree a lot. We argue a lot. But, I mean, it's better than what it was. So, around then, my dad and my mother started arguing a lot. And from what I could tell, it was my mother's fault. From what I could tell at the time, it was her fault. And my dad was just trying to keep her from, like, hurting the kids in the house. Because at that time, my oldest brother, who was from another mother, was in college, I think. The 2 brothers were in college, I think. And my oldest sister is still at the house. My oldest sister, my younger sister, which is like 3 years older than I am. I call her younger because she's not older than my older sister, but she's not, like, younger than me. So I call her younger sister. And then there's me. I'm the youngest, which kind of sucks, but, I mean, it's okay. So, basically what happened was they started getting physically aggressive towards each other, and just stupid shit would continue to happen. They would argue a lot, they'd yell at each other, stuff like that. But after that, once we got through that phase, there was a breaking up phase when they all started just not talk to each other kind of thing happened. They just stopped kind of talking to each other. And then, about, so what year was that? I was about 7 when that happened, and I was born in 2003, so 3, 4, 5, 6. So, yeah, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 years. Oh, no shit. So that's 3, come on, 3, 2, 2. So 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm bad at simple math, deal with it. I can do complicated math, but I can't do simple math. It's fucking annoying. So that's 11. So that was like 2011. That started happening. By 2012, as far as I can remember, that year, my mother had started moving out, and by that time, I got home from school, and my mother had half the shit out the house, and we didn't know what was hers and what was my dad's, so she just took what she thought was hers, as far as I know. My computer just reset itself. That freaked the fuck out of me, because all my icons just disappeared and reappeared. But that happened, and then we sorted through all of it, and I started going back and forth, like a divorce when they got divorced. Divorced, I say, because it never really happened, because they're still fighting over bullshit at this point. And it's been 7 or 8 years since they got divorced, because that was 2011 or 12 they got divorced, I remember. So that's at least 7 years. 6 or 7 years at least. And they're still fighting about it. So we got the the visitation figured out between my mother and my dad, and that was every other week, I think it was. I switched, and that got annoying. These holidays, they switched off each year, so one person would get one holiday, the next holiday the other person would get, and it would switch each year. That went on for, I think, a year and a half, something like that. And then my dad realized that my mother was getting too violent. That's way ahead, though. What year am I talking about? I'm talking about 2012, 13. Either way, the visitation went on for a while. At one point, my mother had me removed from the north side school that I go to here in San Antonio, and put me into a school out there in the middle of fucking nowhere, where I was coasting through school because it was too fucking easy. And here I don't even get challenged either. It's just fucking simple because of all the shit that's already in here that I don't know where I got it from. It's just there. It's like my sister. She's an AP student, all AP classes. She's a fucking weirdo, but she has grades, and for an AP student, she's in the top like 30%, I think it is. Top 30 to 10%, something like that. Somewhere in there, top 30 to 10%. And for me, as a Northside student, I'm in the bottom, like, 80%. Fuck, okay. But that's mainly because I'm coasting through my classes and I'm not really trying. If I were to put in the effort, like, I finished 3 assignments on my test. 3 assignments in, like, each class with hundreds. And English class I suck, but my sister's taking AP English, and I'm like, you're fucking weird, but she likes reading books and writing. I suck at writing, that's my problem. So I use I use a computer to write, because I can't type fast either, but it's at least legible. My literature is not legible. I cannot write. Later I'll write something out and see if y'all can figure out what the fuck it says out, but either way, it's hard to figure out. I don't know if I'm gonna go through and bleep all this cussing. I probably will not, because it's and my content is never family friendly, so deal with it. DT dubs. Back then, my mother, if you didn't do something, okay, she has some mental ability or something like that, some mental issue, and I know she has it, because she'd go from perfectly happy 1 second to enraged the next second, and you couldn't figure out when it was going to happen. It was one day I came home from that country school, and I had homework. So we wrote it up on we had 3 garage doors basically, and that was one giant garage. And I wrote out the math problems on the entire garages, like all 3 doors, and I had to go through and figure out the answers and do the calculations in my head. And that's part of the reason I suck at normal math, is I never really remembered that. It just got annoying. It was one time I got the answer wrong, and she wouldn't tell me how to do it, and I didn't remember. And she just turned around and smacked the shit out of me, out of nowhere. Like, she was talking all fine, and all of a sudden she just turns around and smacks the fuck out of me. And I was like, what the hell was that for? So, and that was back before, like, you could randomly just Google shit. That was back when smartphones were not even out yet. Like, iPhone was just getting started. That was 2 years after iPhones came out, because iPhone was, like, 2010 or some shit. I think it was that iPhone, like, the actual iPhone came out. I'm not entirely sure on that. You'd have to... Don't quote me, in other words. I don't know exactly. But back then, smartphones were not really a thing. My mother still had a BlackBerry. My sister had a little... Here, it's right here. Let me grab it. My sister had one of these little things, you know. This was like a 99-cent phone. Oh, you can see me. I can't show you that. But this was an old-ass LG phone. Where is it? So it's like this, and it's a little slide phone. It's bullshit. It's supposed to be one of the first smartphones. My grandmother had this for the longest time. We probably still have them. But we upgraded her to a Samsung S3 or some shit. It's a G3, which is like a cheap version of cheap Samsung. That AT&T was like, here, take this instead of your old shit phones because they're going out of date. That's what AT&T basically said. They said, your phones are out of date, buy these. And they basically gave it to her for free. But she smacked the shit out of me. I didn't realize what it was for. My grandparents at the time, out there, they're both, like, one of them right now is, like, 80-something. My grandmother here is 80-something. My grandpas on both sides are dead. Grandpa on that side died, sadly. He was a great guy. He knew how to build. That's what he did. He did agriculture and building. He did diesel motors. Grandpa here in town was a UPS guy for the longest time. I'm not sure quite what else he did, but that's what I've heard him that he mainly does. But I'm getting off track here. So after the visitation happened, it started getting more violent. My dad had realized that, and at a certain point he just stopped letting us go. So we just kept staying, and we didn't mind, because we didn't like it out there. It was just annoying, because she would get randomly mad and start, what the fuck? Okay, she'd get randomly mad and start just getting angry at us for nothing. What was it? So the next year, that was like 3 years later. Basically, we're gonna jump 3 years, because that happened for 3 years consecutively, basically. And then for about 3 years, they did that, and now, so that was like 3 years later, and then, so that would be, that started in like 2012 or 11, something like that, and then 12, 13, 14, 15, so that's like 2015, and then that just continued to happen. My dad just wouldn't let us go. From 2015, pretty much halfway through 15, we were 16 until now, he hasn't been letting us go. And at this point, or, one thing I forgot to mention about the last section was when I lived out there with my mother, she would let us drink, like, beer, wine, malt, whiskey, shit like that, like hard liquor stuff. And at this point, like, actually now, half her family doesn't, like, no, her entire family doesn't like her. Because from what I've heard and from what I've seen, she would be clinically insane, in my opinion. Most people can't register her as clinically insane because she could pass every test to be normal. But you get into a conversation with her, and if it's not her way, she'll get pissed off. And she'll get angry over stupid shit. I'm the same way, but I'm not even close to as bad as she is. But, in other words, I grew up with a mother who didn't know how to life, basically, we'll put it that way. She was physically aggressive towards her own children. From what I've heard, she's chased my brother and my older sister, that was the oldest sister, and my older two brothers around with knives. She's chased them with knives, threatening to kill them if they didn't do what she asked. And then, what else? I think that's about it. From then to 2015, that was about it. And then from about 2015 to now, there's been one car accident that I remember. There has been 2 deaths. So, both grandpas died between 2015 and 2018. Both around 87, something like that. Both of them are around 80s. Late 80s, early 80s, something like that. The fuck is that sound? Still don't understand what that sound is. But yeah. Oh my god, my hair. Okay. So, I think the one car accident happened in 2016. So, my dad was taking me and my sister up to Austin because he had work up there and he wanted to take us up there because I don't think we've ever really been there, like, for a while. And stayed for the night. So we stayed the night, got up in the morning, we were driving back. We were at a complete stop. We were at a complete stop. And then my sister's in the back seat typing on a computer. I'm in the front seat just kind of sitting there. And because of how damn tall I am, the car airbags didn't really affect me. Because I've only grown about 2 inches in the past 4 years. Because I've pretty much hit my max height. I may grow another 3 or 4 inches, but that's about all I'm going to grow. I'm like 6 foot, something around there. I think I'm like 5'11", 6'1", something in between there. I'm not sure exactly, I haven't measured myself lately. And thank the fucking Lord my PE class is in 8th period, which means I have all day to fucking shrink. Because, you know, gravity when you're sleeping, it fucking stretches you out. So if you have PE first period, it's like, it makes you seem taller. Never mind. But, what was I talking about? Fuck. Y'all are gonna yell at me for this. I forget a lot. Let's get back to the car accident. So, we were sitting dead stop. Somebody hit us in the back end at like, no. Somebody had stopped in front of us, and we were traveling like 80 through 60, somewhere in there. 60 to 80 miles an hour. And my dad couldn't stop in time. So instead of, hitting the person in front, because we at the time did not have insurance on the car, because it ran out literally the day before, and somehow he knew that before it happened. I guess he checked it, got an email or some shit. But he knew, so he went straight into the wall. Instead of hitting the car in front and having to pay for their insurance out of pocket, he hit the wall. Which, I mean, was a better choice. Because the car in front of us was a fucking Mercedes, and it would have been way more than would have been a shitload more than just hitting the wall. Because we didn't need the car. The car was a piece of shit. It was an old Volkswagen. So, he hit the wall, going 60 to 80 miles an hour. Honestly, I feel like we spun a couple times. He said we were in the air, but, I mean, who really knows? I don't really know. I didn't exactly have my eyes open to fucking look. I'd rather not. So what happened was, from what I could tell, my sister was unbuckled in the back seat because of the way the car accident happened. I ended up getting out of the car. My wrist was completely fucked. So my wrist went into the dashboard before the airbag went off, somehow. Oh, right, I had it sitting on the armrest, so it was closer to the airbag. It was like, maybe that far away from the airbag. And when he hit the wall, it went dink straight in. And the cup in my hand got crushed as usual. Because I was holding two cups. Because we were coming on the way back. We had something to eat, and I was holding drinks. Because the car didn't really have cup holders. I mean, it did, but there was not enough. So, one hand went straight into the dashboard, crushing the cup. The other hand, I think, hit not the center console, but the dash section, where, like, nowadays they have the screen there, like the monitor screen, and, like, all your radio stuff. The other hand went and hit there, as far as I could tell. Face went straight into the airbag. I basically didn't suffer anything facially other than a bloody nose, because, bloody nose, face straight into an airbag, that's gonna hurt. Other than that, my knees hit the bottom of the dashboard, so the glove box compartment, my knees straight into that, because I'm so damn tall, I couldn't move the seat back any farther. But my knees went straight into that, and I think, honestly, if my sister was sitting on the other side, it would have been my dad's chair that went straight forward, but I'm glad it was me, because he would have been in a lot worse shape than I would have, because I am so young, and it would have been so much harder for him to heal. So I'm honestly thankful that she was sitting behind me, and not my dad. But her face went straight through the computer. Like, it cracked the fucking bottom of the computer, the keyboard section, cracked it directly in half. The monitor was bent, like, okay, so the monitor was a square. The top edges, where these two fingers are up here, were bent in, like that. Something like that. And it crushed the screen. The bottom square part, like, was like this, like that, something like that. And it just snapped. So it went like that, basically. I have the metal piece, so I don't want to grab it right now because it's going to make too much noise. And it's like almost 12 o'clock. Literally almost 12 o'clock. I don't. There. My hands are so fuck. English shaky. But yeah. So, I was honestly in the worst shape because I was having wrist problems and like closing my hands, and I still have closing my hand problems. Like, I can't get quite enough grip. Some people say I have too much grip, but I feel I should have more for what I've been doing. And then I can't quite move my wrist entirely. My knees still fucking hurt. They're flattened. Like, I have one spot where it's like pointed and the rest is like flat. And I think the pointed part was right at the top of the glove box, so the glove box went something like that. So this part right here was the glove box, like it was flat. And then this was the dashboard, or the dashboard was up angled a little more. So it was like that. So I think my knee hit halfway in the middle, so half of it's flat and the other half is like kind of pointed up. That was both sides. So my sister in the back seat hit the chair, because I don't think she was wearing a seatbelt, because she had no whiplash from the seatbelt in my case, I had a fucking red mark that went all the way across my body where the seatbelt was, which I'm thankful for, because otherwise I would have been in the oncoming traffic and dead. But, you know, seatbelts save lives, guys. Wear them. They really help. Also, if my sister was wearing one, it would have kept me out of a lot more pain. But I didn't, as far as I know, I didn't take any drugs while I was in the hospital. I didn't take any pain medication while I was in the hospital. I'm not too sure on that. I was up, and I was out, and I was up, and I was out most of the time because I couldn't fucking stay awake, and when I was awake, I was up for 12 to 13 hours, and I think that honestly fucked my entire sleeping schedule for like 4 or 5 years. Or, no, like 2 or 3 years now. Because now I go to sleep anywhere between 4 and 12 o'clock in the morning. I usually don't go to bed till 12. I can stay up till like 8, and then fall asleep and be out till 12 o'clock at night. And I'll wake up and be up all fucking night. It's just when I fall asleep. I could stay up 24 hours, but I don't, because I know it'll fuck me over. I won't be able to sleep enough to recover how much time I've lost, so it's not worth the time. It's just gonna fuck me. So I think that fucked my sleeping schedule, and the only thing on TV, which is hilarious, was, what was it? It was the fucking Hulk. Like, the shitty Hulk. You know how in Fast and the Furious 7? Is that 7, I think it was? Dom gets called into, to The Rock's, room in the hospital, and they were showing the, shitty version of the Hulk. While mine was, like, the newer version, but it was still pretty shitty. So it was, like, the middle between the newest and the oldest. It was kind of like the middle. It was shit. Either way. I fucking hated it. But other than that, my sister was pretty much fine. She was basically fine. Other than her face being cut up a little bit, she was fine. But my knees were flattened, my wrists were fucked. I had a bloody nose. My glasses were... Oh wait, I didn't wear glasses back then, so I had a bloody nose. I had a busted lip, I think it was, and then I had a compressed spine. Because when the airbag went off, my head hit the airbag. From what I can guess, my head hit the airbag, and I think it stopped me from going through the windshield along with the seatbelt, which was currently, it was attached to the D-bar, which is right behind the chair. So it's right behind the chair. So when you're sitting there, it's like behind you. It's like a foot, no, it's like 3 or 4 inches behind you, and the seatbelt goes into that D-bar. So when I got hit by my sister, my seat broke off the rails. So you know how when you have you ever taken a seat off? If you have, you'll know. If you haven't, then I'm going to show you. There's 2 rails that go down through the seat. And if the seat comes off those rails, it's just going to slide back and forth, and you can basically pull it out of the car at that point. But, my sister hit it so hard, with her entire body basically, that the seat came off the rails, and that's why my knees are so fucked. And I think what happened was the seatbelt pulled my middle section down, and the seat pushed my middle section together. So the seat was pushing my back forward, while the seatbelt was pushing it back. So I think it compressed my back more than it should have, and I think that's part of the reason I have back problems now. And not only that, I'm always leaning, which I fucking hate. But if I stand straight up, I look like a fucking giant, which I am. So I mean, I kind of tilt a little bit, but I mean, it's kind of annoying. But that car accident was annoying. I didn't get a cast. I didn't get anything on my hands. I was just told not to use them. I was out of baseball for an entire year, which fucked me, because I needed that extra year of playing. Because I've only been in baseball 3 years, and I'm better than most of the kids in there right now, which have played their entire lives. So my mother didn't want me to play baseball. She wanted me to learn how to sew. Fucking annoying. My sister played softball. She played t-ball, and then they pulled her out for a machine pitch. because my mother at that time didn't want me or her to play. She put us in martial arts, which I was horrible at. My sister excelled in. My sister excels in anything, which is fucking annoying. But, oh, fuck, what was it? And then my dad put us both back into sports, which is where we belong. Our entire family has done sports, other than my mother. She's the only one who has not done sports. I'm a great athlete. I can run. I can do track, but I don't. I can do football, but I don't. I can do basketball, but I don't. I need to learn how to dribble. Otherwise, I can't do basketball. But for a giant, it's going to be hard to dribble. Not too hard, but it's still going to be hard. Because the little kids can just reach under and fucking take the ball from you. Which is annoying. There's a kid in my fucking PE that does that. But I play baseball mainly because I'm so damn tall that I can get so much speed on the ball by the time it gets to the plate that it just goes by before they can hit it. But what were we talking? We were talking about fucking we're talking about the car accident. Okay, so I was in the hospital for about a month. I missed no school because I was over the summer. Yeah, I was over the summer. I didn't miss any school, I don't think. And then I think it was 2017. Yeah, 2017. We went on a vacation to Florida for my brother's graduation. So my older sister, no, my dad drove me and my sister back down here because she had STAR. I didn't have STAR quite yet for 7th grade. Yeah, I didn't have STAR yet for 7th grade. She did. So I ended up coming down instead of going to Colorado, where my cousin and my aunt live. Instead of going there, I had to come back down and go to school for the next month or two till the school year was over. And at that point, there was really nothing we were doing in any of our classes. And even then, I could have got that shit done in like a day. Not to mention my teachers knew me and they knew I could finish this shit. They just needed to give me a little time. But other than that, what was it? Oh, so my grandpa, my grandma, and my older sister, my brother, and my oldest brother went up to Colorado to visit my cousin, my aunt, her husband, and their other kid. I don't know what they're called. But they went over there to visit them. When my grandfather came back, my grandpa, my grandma, my sister came back, they dropped my older brothers in Houston or Austin, one of the two, I don't remember. I think it was Austin, I'm not sure. And the three of them came back. So when my grandpa got here, a couple days later, he wanted to move a rose bush in our front yard. And my grandma wasn't watching him because she, every couple hours, goes outside to have a cigarette with a dog. My grandpa stays inside and watches TV. And he went outside to go try and move a rose bush, and she didn't realize it. She got back inside and she just thought he went to the bathroom or something. He went outside to move the rose bush, realized the door was open. A couple minutes later, my grandmother did. And she went outside and he was laying on the ground. They called the ambulance and shit like that. I don't know where I was. I think I was out doing something. And my sister, me, and my dad were out doing something at the time. I don't know what it was, but they were out doing something. We were out doing something. So we got back. We realized they were gone. We went to the hospital. Normal shit. He was laid up for about 3 months. No, it was about 6 months. Because they let him out 3 months, and then he went to a, what's it called, recovery place, what do they call those places? And then he came back home and stayed here for a month or two. Then he had to go back to the hospital because nothing was going right. He got an infection or some shit because they treated him. So the doctor treated him like he was a 50-year-old or younger. And he was really a 75 to 80-year-old. he was treating him like he was a young kid that his immune system was going to defeat the infection. I guess he didn't realize that he was an older dude, and he had broke his hip. His hip broke. So they put in a new hip, and, normal shit for old people, they get new hips once in a while. But the hip got infected, and he went to the hospital for that, and later died from the infection, because they could not, something like that. I don't remember the specifics. That's my grandma's department. She was a nurse for the longest time. So yeah, my grandpa later died that year. My other grandpa died, I think it was 3 or 4 months before that. No, it was like 3 months, 3, 4 months, something like that. Before that, he was driving a tractor, plowing a field, and somehow the tractor, so the plow is like 10 feet bigger than the tractor. So the tractor is about 6 feet wide. The plow is about 16 feet wide. Somehow, he managed to get off the tractor while it was moving, had a heart attack or some shit that they can't figure out. The people who figure out what happened, they can't figure out what happened to him. They can't say it was a heart attack, something like that. So, he somehow got off the tractor while it was moving, very quickly I might add. And he was a big dude. At that time, he was about 1.5 feet taller than I am. So, if my predictions are right, I should grow to be about 6'8", because he was about 7 feet tall. He was a big fucker. So, my grandpa on this side is like, from what I saw, he maxed out at like 6 foot. I think he maxed out at. My grandpa on that side was like 6'8". So if I'm right, I should come out to be about 6'4". That's just kind of simple math there. So you get about the middle. But my dad on this side, from what I've seen, he played football and shit, so he should have been taller than he really was, but because of all the pressing on his back, he became smaller. Also, he has 6 herniated discs from blowing out his back, playing football, lifting weights, shit like that. So, reality, my dad should be about 6'7". Thank you, camera. You actually know how to light. Do you like my thumb, guys? Okay. But I should grow to be pretty tall. What was I talking about other than that? So yeah, my grandpa later died. He somehow got off the tractor while it was moving. The tractor continued to hit 2 trees before stopping. After the second tree, it hit the second tree and stopped. And I guess it dug a hole where the tires were. I didn't see any of these accidents happen, which kind of sucks because I might have been able to tell him what happened. What was it? So, he somehow got off the tractor while it was moving quick enough and hit 2 trees before finally stopping. Once it hit a car. It hit a car and stopped. That's what it was. Yeah, it hit a car and stopped. And he was found dead in the field. And my grandma thought he was just into his work at that point, because he usually came home around 5 or 6. He would usually stop and get in his car and drive home around 5 or 6. And he didn't come home for a few hours. She started to get a little worried, but he was just continuing to work. He needed to finish it or something. About an hour later, she was like, okay, I need to go see what happened. And she went out to go look, and he was there laying in the field. So, there's that sad story. That's about all I have to tell you. It's my life, basically, in a nutshell. I mean, I had an abusive mother who was constantly violent. My father is violent. So, if I continue on this path, I will be a violent human being. But a life of chi and peace is what I am striving for at this point, because I don't want to become that. I don't want to become an angry person. You know what I mean? Yeah. I also have dyslexia, ADHD, which means hyper attention disorder or some shit. Hyper attention deficit disorder. That's what it is. ADD, hyper attention deficit disorder. Which means I can't pay attention for a long period of time, and I'm very hyper, which means I'm all over the fucking place. And then I have a little bit of insomnia. I don't know how it's possible, but I have a little bit of insomnia. I can't sleep here and there, and then like right now, if I went to bed, I couldn't sleep. I'd be up for another 3 hours. And it's like 12:16. Oh my god, it's the 3rd. Y'all been sitting here throughout an entire month. Yeah, my computer screen's broken. Y'all been sitting here for an entire month. Deal with it. My computer went from the 29th to the 31st. Oh, god damn it. Fucking stupid thing is going on. There we go. Okay. But that's about all I want to talk about for now. Later on in life, I'll have more to tell you, but I'm probably going to end up editing the videos together, these kind of videos where I talk about my life. I'll probably end up making one long one when I'm like 45 or 50, if I still have viewers. And I'll edit that all together and just make one long-ass video about my life. And I'll try and do this every 10 years, if I continue to have. I know I'll have a YouTube channel, even if it's just a personal one. But I save these files, these videos like this. I save these so I can remember in case I ever lose my memory or something. So I'll know what my life was up till this point. Fucking sounds, yo. If you're gonna come in, come in. Don't just fucking make sounds outside. It scares the shit out of me. Rufus. Okay, it's not the dog. That's about all I want to talk about. I know it went from kind of hyper and sadness down to like depressing kind of bullshit. But I don't want y'all to do fucking English, man. I don't want y'all I don't want y'all to be depressed, so I'm gonna leave this on a happy note. Y'all all go out and have a nice day. Remember, wear your seatbelts, and don't take anything for granted, okay? Life is not a given, okay? Life can be taken like that. Just make sure you be safe, okay? So have a nice day. Get on seatbelts, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.